Someone should go on it.
I don't know where my phone is. Are you now?
Yeah. Salut tout le monde. Oops. Salut, salut, salut. Hello, everybody. Actually, today's in English. So, today I wanted to talk about a little article that I found, and it's also something that really inspired me to become a doula. Okay, so that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because we need to have those conversations around birth. How can we prevent trauma? How can we talk about trauma? so that we can educate our people around us, so that we make sure that it doesn't happen and it's not as prevalent as it is now. So yeah, I'm gonna start this new series of just conversations about things that are happening right now in the birth world, and just having discussions around this. So today I just want to talk about the first article that, well, it's an article that I found. It's going to be the first segment, the first episode of this segment. And is my first birth was traumatic? Should I have a second baby? So actually, it's crazy because this was one thing that really inspired me to be a doula. Like I said, um, my first birth was a very empowering thing for me. It really it really encouraged me to accept myself as a woman and also love myself as a woman, embrace myself as a woman. Because growing up in religious circle where women are really put down, or kind of like taught that they are innately intrinsically bad or something, just not embracing womanhood. um it was very liberating, it was very empowering for me to just give birth in my living room, um you know by myself. Basically, I had my midwife, but since everything was going very well, it was all me, and it really empowered me, and it made me believe in that I could do anything that I wanted to do, basically. So it's such an empowering feeling. So I was very excited about my birth, and I used to just be like, "Oh my god, my birth was just amazing!" And just in all the mothers circle that I used to go to, I used to just be like, "I'm so excited about my birth, and I just love birthing." And I was the only person. Well, yeah, I was the only person that had a great experience. So everybody else experiences were very traumatic, or negative, and it really motivated me to become a doula so that I can help women really embrace this birth journey, embrace um, their bodies as women, their power as women, protect them, advocate for them, help them gain confidence, gain support, respect for in during birth, and have great birthing experiences, because it's gonna make us better as people as well. So the story that really impacted me was this one mother that was telling me how she had a horrible birth experience where her nurse told her to shut up when she was pushing. And that's crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy and absolutely unacceptable. And I realized something when I was in my 20s. I just turned 30 this year, like when I was in my 20s back in the day. But I realized something. It's that we submit ourselves to a lot of things that we don't have to submit ourselves to. At the end of the day, we're the one that decide who has power over us. You know what I mean? And that means that if the person that is supposed to be your care provider, is supposed to care for you, is disrespectful to you, is not listening to you, is not supporting you, is not respecting you as the birding person that you are the one birding. Okay, we have to stop using languages like uh um who delivered my baby, what doctor delivered my baby. No, 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 you are the one that birded your baby. And using this language is really going to help us move towards a more wholesome birth, a more women or person centered birth, where we are the one birthing, we're the one acting in this. You know what I mean? We're not victims, we are participants, we are creators, we are the doers of this. So anyway, so that's why I became a doula. Like, I went on a tangent, but that's why I became a doula, to really empower women and give them the confidence that they can do this and this their birth. So I'm going to read this article to you, and we're going to discuss a little bit. Let me just share my screen. Share screen. So can you see this? So this is the article here. And it's my first birth was traumatic. Should I have a second baby? It's an article that I found on the Guardian. The Guardian. Um, so this is what the woman wrote. She said, "My first and only child is 3.5, and I've been thinking about having another. This is something I really want, but part of me is scared. When I had my first child, it went badly, physically and emotionally. The birth itself was very traumatic, and 3 days after she was born, I had a panic attack, which spiraled into postnatal depression and PTSD from the birth. The first year of her life, I found extremely difficult, and for a long time, I thought I'd never want another child. But I have now changed my mind. However, I'm worried about my mental and physical health. I'm also worried about the inevitable, albeit temporary distance that a newborn would put between me and my husband, and that the age gap between my children will be too great. I confess I compare myself with other mothers I see on social media. Am I kidding myself into thinking I could cope with two when I found it so hard to cope with one?" So there's a lot of questions in that in that question of the person. Um, First is, you see, she said she had a traumatic birth, and I think one thing that we kind of have to stop with traumatic birth is diminishing how impactful it can be. A lot of times we are going to say things like, "Oh, my baby is fine, so I shouldn't be feeling this way. My baby is fine, so I shouldn't be feeling, all those negative feelings." And we kind of bury all the emotional trauma that we went through, and that's not a good way to look at it. Your baby is okay, but the process of birth is also important. The process in which your baby came through is also important, and if it was traumatic, it's normal for you to have those feelings, and you shouldn't feel guilty for having those feelings. You should acknowledge them, you should talk about them, exteriorize. So you see, she said she had a panic attack. That's how bad her experience was. And then it spiraled into postnatal depression and PTSD. Like, people really have to realize, we really have to realize that we need to prepare our birds, because the reality is traumatic births, negative experiences are going to affect us a lot emotionally, mentally. And this emotional and mental burden is going to affect our relationship with our child. It's going to affect our relationship with our partners. So we have to do that work of, transforming ourselves from being scared and being unprepared to really preparing ourselves for birth. So I'm going to keep going because they're going to answer her on this article. So she said, "I'm sorry to hear about your experience, and not at all surprised that you experienced the fallout you did. Birth trauma is real. It's often minimized by others and sometimes by ourselves." And that's literally what I just said. We rationalize it by telling ourselves the main thing is that our babies are okay, which is important, but doesn't take away the impact of what happened. The first thing I want to say is that the ideal gap between children is what's ideal for you. Yes, you need to recover. Like, we really underestimate the recovery time in postpartum. It depends on each person and it depends on each pregnancy. For me, my recovery for the first one was 9 months, and it was a very difficult, very emotionally and mentally challenging time for me. Whereas the recovery for my second child was very much faster. It was probably almost two or 3 months, and the mental recovery was even faster. I think it was more physically that I had like to give myself a little bit of time, but mentally I was very, very well, strong with my second child. My first child, it was very hard for the first 9 months. So every single postpartum transition is different, and we really have to um take the time, listen to our bodies, be patient with yourself. Your body just went through 9 months of carrying a child, creating a child, nurturing, nourishing a child, and then the extremely hard task of birthing and putting the child into the world, and now feeding it again and taking care of it. Somebody that's completely dependent on you. And a lot of time, I think we're extremely tough on ourselves, and we wouldn't extend the same toughness to someone else. Like, would be way more patient with someone else. You know what I mean? Alors, so yeah, just your baby needs to be, your body needs to be honored, needs to be thanked, and you really need to take the time to heal. So the lady, actually, she was able to speak to a psychiatrist about the situation of the birth trauma. And Kim Thomas, so basically the psychiatrist's name is Joe Stubley, and then a trauma expert, um, Kim Thomas from the Birth Trauma Association. So let's see what they have to say. So she said that struggling to cope with the traumatic birth of her firstborn does not mean you would be unable to cope with the second, but it's wise and thoughtful given what happened that you think about it. You know, it's very smart to do that. Like sometimes we don't even stop and analyze and really analyze what happened to us, and take the time to heal. But it looks like this woman really did that work. And then the psychiatrist said that if we perceive the social support network that we have to be inadequate, it puts us more at risk of trauma and PTSD. And that's something that I always repeat. So trauma, social support, medical support, and then also um, support team like your doula, like your partner, your family is very important. Like you will see that people that have strong support, like a doula support, are gonna have less C sections, less instrumental births, less epidurals, less um all of those things, because the emotional part of birth is very important. The support that you need for birth is very important. um So basically, saying that finding more about what happened to you 3 years ago may help you process the details of the birth. And I've had three really great births, but my third birth, I actually had a hemorrhage. Okay. And I'm going to talk about this story because, again, it's a very long process of healing and understanding what happened. But I had a hemorrhage on my third birth, and I had to be transferred at the hospital about 3 hours after I gave birth in my living room. I had to go to the hospital because my midwife was just not comfortable leaving me in this state. So she said that, she wanted me to go to the hospital for a checkup just to make sure that everything is okay. They're gonna hold me and monitor my situation because I lost a lot of blood and I was not able to stand up by myself. So that was red flags for them. So I went to the hospital. Okay. And it was very traumatic for me actually once I got there. It's very stressful. It's very different from what I was used to of being, really at peace, listened to, supported during birth. And right down there it was very different. So I'm gonna make a whole video about this. And then basically, what I'm saying is that healing from that experience took, I mean, I'm still healing from it actually, but it took a lot of time. And one thing that my midwife did is she gave me the birth notes. So, medical professional midwives and doctors, they would really go through, they fill out like a documents of what is happening, kind of like minute, not minute to minute, but like, everything important is noted in your file, and you can have access to that file. So I was given this file, and it really helped me process everything that happened, to read, step by step, what was happening during my birth, what was happening after my birth, up to the transfer. So it was very helpful for me to heal. So taking that time to really like read and analyze what's happening to you, what happened to you, so you can integrate it and heal from it is important. And that's what they were telling her to do here in this article. So the psychiatrist continues and says that trauma and PTSD are linked to disempowerment and disconnection from others. Okay. So the two things that you can do now are empower yourself and get connected with others. Allow yourself to think about what happened, what you would like to change this time, and try to connect with the right groups to support you. it doesn't have to be the same again. So I'm all about prevention. So I always like trying to really show first time mother is like, don't go through a traumatic experience before you get a doula. Don't get go through a traumatic experience before you get educated on birth, because a lot of women that get their second and third child, that's when they realize how important those things are. But it's like, let's not go through these experiences, this trauma, before we realize the importance of educating yourself, confident, being confident, um, you know, knowing how your body works, knowing what's happening at birth, knowing your options, knowing your support, knowing what's important for you to have a positive experience. Let's not wait, after the first child to just have like this horrible experience to prepare ourselves now. So let's prepare ourselves first. But if you did have a traumatic birth at first, let's sit down and deconstruct what happened. What are you scared of now? Because one thing that we do a lot is kind of like um, hide from our fears, where we are going to act like they're not there, or we're going to convince ourselves that no, this time is going to be different because everything's going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. But it's not only like, oh, I'm going to attract good things, but it's not only this, right? You also have to attack your fear and really deconstruct, what are you scared of? What are you scared of? Are you scared of having a C-section? Why are you scared of a C-section? Like, of the recovery, of the pain, of the idea that you didn't birth your child vaginally, the idea that your body is not working properly. What are you afraid of? And then from that, we can take the measures necessary. So if you're scared of the pain of C-section, the recovery, let's talk about, if you have a C-section, what are we going to do to make sure you have the best possible recovery? That's the kind of conversation we need to have, not conversations that are like, let's not think about C-section. Oh, you're not going to have a C-section this time. We're going to make sure that we do everything for you not to have a C-section. But what if you end up having one? And that's how trauma is born, right? So if having a plan for if you end up having one, having a plan that we talked about, we deconstructed all your fears and we made provisions for all these fears. So that is anyways what I think works for my client. It works because we make provisions for things that can happen. We go through things that can happen and we decide together, or you decide and I help you decide what is the best option for you if this happens. And then when you have this plan, you have the best possible plan. You know that you made provisions for it, and you can be more confident in your birth, because you know that if the worst thing that you believe can happen to you happened, you have a plan. Hello, Fleurka. So I'm gonna keep reading here. So it says, don't compare yourself to other mothers on social media. Okay, so yeah, like that's another conversation we can have maybe another time. Um, but yeah, so that's what I want to say. I want to say that let's prepare ourselves, and I'm going to present to you actually what I offer for to make sure that you do have this preparation. So the first thing I did is, because going to my first birth, I was very scared. I was very insecure. Um I was very scared, right? So the first thing I did is read some stories. And the book that I read was very good. It helped me a lot, but it wasn't really reflecting me and I didn't really see myself in those stories. So what I did is I created this book. It's Amazing Birth Stories of Modern Black Women, and it's a lot of stories, like it's 28 stories of women, and they're all positive stories. So it's the point is to inspire people and empower women to really believe in their bodies, because those women are women like you and me, that went through birth and had great experiences, and they teach us in this book how to achieve this. And the three things that always come back is education, self confidence, and support. And that's literally what I do. That's what I do. I build your confidence, I educate you on the birth process, and I give you the support for birth and actually help you create your support team and your medical team. That's also a support team, but your medical team needs to be supportive of you. That's one thing. That's I always repeat. If your medical team is not supportive of you, you don't need to be with them. You can find people that are going to support you. You don't have to stay in a relationship where your medical team is not listening to your wishes and diminishing your concerns. So this book is really helped a lot of women. I get a lot of reviews from it that it just gave them more confidence, gave them more understanding on what's happening in birth, and it's beautiful. The stories in the book are beautiful. My first two birth stories are in there. There's different stories. There's hospital births, there's twin births, there's free births, which is unassisted birth, so no midwives, no doctors, just women birthing themselves. There's birth center births, there's home births, okay? And yeah, it's really really good. You're gonna find so many amazing women sharing their stories, and it's great. It's really great. So it's free. You can download it on I think I'm gonna put the link on the video, like, or something like that. But if you go on Instagram, on La Dula Rachel Instagram, and look click on my bio, you can download the book for free. So it's a whole PDF, and it has 28 birth stories, positive birth stories. And then what I did create is a class. So I have a class that's French and English. This is the French here, accouchement en confiance. So it's birthing with confidence, and it covers basically so many things. It covers well, the first thing is the myths of birth. Then we go to anatomy of pregnancy. Then the positioning of the baby, physiology of birth, the cycles, the cervix, the contractions, the stages of labor, hormones, medical interventions, newborn, postpartum, and breastfeeding. So this is really basically created to improve your confidence. It's created to educate you on your body, um, let you know how your body functions so that you can work with your body. You know what I mean? Because a lot of time we work against our bodies because we don't understand how our body functions. So if you can figure out how to work with your body, you're gonna get a positive experience because you're working with your body, but also making provision for anything that can happen, you know? So this is the book. I'm just gonna show you a little bit. Um it's really like interactive, and it's very easy information to understand. I made it really infographic because I believe that it's just better to learn that way, and I love doing that. So if you want to take this class with me, just go on my Instagram and email me, um uh, DM me, or go and register. You can register directly. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Make sure that you're confident, that you're educated for birth, and I can help you achieve this. I've done it for multiple women. I have so many clients that just feel so much better after their class, after their prenatal follow-up. So yes, Fleur 4, c'est en français. Oui, c'est en français. Et s'il y a des gens que tu connais qui sont enceintes, juste dis-leur. C'est vraiment important de savoir son corps, de savoir ce qui se passe avec son corps. Comme ça, on peut travailler avec notre corps. Alors, c'est ce que je voulais dire aujourd'hui. Merci beaucoup de m'avoir écouté. Et passez une bonne journée. Si vous n'avez pas d'autres questions, si vous avez des questions, laissez-moi savoir dans les commentaires. So if you have questions, just write them on the comments. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one. Question and answer. Yeah, if you have questions, let me know, but I don't know if you have questions or not. Yes. This thing is like. Je ne comprends pas bien l'anglais, mais j'ai pu suivre. Ok. C'est bon, Flerka. Si tu vas pratiquer ton anglais, c'est bon. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.